We've seen the Dockers come out onto the ground. Here comes the home side, the Sydney, onto ANZ Stadium. It's game time. Bring it on. And the Sydney Swans will certainly be hoping to do that. 5 players back into this lineup. They're just about at full strength now. And here's Jason Dunstall to have a look at the Sydney Swans side.
Well, it's a great luxury when you bring in the quality of players that the Swans have been able to bring in. Mitchell, Biggs, Towers, Naismith, Jones, all unlucky. They get omitted. But have a look at the inclusions. Franklin, Kennedy, Pike, McGlynn and Craig Bird comes in as a sub. That's just a ridiculous 5 players to bring in. You talk about experience, a wealth of class and knowledge of the game. It's just about as good as they can be on paper.
And half your salary cap, I would have thought. He's coming back into the side. That's great news for the Sydney Swans. For Fremantle Dockers, they've made some good inclusions as well. The late changes, Crozier's come into the side, Griffin goes out, which I don't think is overly surprising. Silvani comes in, and Fife's obviously the massive inclusion. The one main out is Johnson, but I think Stephen Hill's a massive asset. He's had 25 plus on 18 times this year. 17 of those occasions Freo have won, so he's really important. And the small forwards, you look through, as we've touched on, Main's back in some form with his defensive work. Walters and Ballantyne will be very important.
Conditions tailor-made at that ground today for someone like a Josh Kennedy?
Oh, he's a star. He is an absolute star. And we know that he's got a great record in finals. You've given me some great numbers for him, Sandals. And his last 10 finals, he's averaged 28 touches, 17 contested possessions, 8 clearances and 5 tackles. That's finals footy. That's what you want.
Amazing. So there they are, both sides out on the ground. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We've got the national anthem coming up, and then we'll have the opening bounce. Big afternoon from ANZ Stadium, and a huge afternoon right here on Fox Footy.
You're watching Swans Dockers. This is Finals Footy on Fox.
Welcome back to ANZ Stadium. Both sides lining up now for the national anthem.
The first qualifying final here at ANZ Stadium. Would you now please join with the coaches, players and umpires as we stand for the Australian national anthem, to be performed this afternoon by Melissa Panzala.
So the sides are set to go. Big day for Pavlich and his Dockers. A huge day for the Sydney Swans. To our predictions. Jason, starting with you.
Yeah, I think Josh Kennedy's got a big role to play. We were just speaking about him. We spoke about his numbers in finals. He's the biggest inclusion of them all for me, and the conditions tailor-made.
And I'll go for triple trouble, which is the small players for the Fremantle Dockers in their forward half. And I think mainly included in there with Walters and Ballantyne. I think they can do the job with the defensive work and kick goals.
Happy, Tony?
I've gone Rogan. Josh, I'm with you. Kennedy, I think, will have the most clearances. I got off the fence a bit and I named that he will have the most clearances, not like Jace, but Kennedy to dominate, sorry.
Rogan Josh.
Rogan Josh is going to be
Kingy,
hot.
please, some sanity.
Oh, mine's a bit of a welfare issue, Sandy. I've gone with, no, Zach. I'm concerned about Zach down back today. This could be one of those days for Zach. Kicking the ball out of that back 50 is not his strength, and I'm just waiting for the Swans to hunt those turnovers off Zach's boot.
For Zach. Bossy?
And I'll be saying it again, Kingy, ruck and maul. So I am expecting 200-plus tackles in games. The pressure will go up significantly. You, Sandy?
And good luck to you, Vossi, if you're saying that all afternoon. We wish you well. We've had about 14 mils of rain. I'm taking this into consideration. A wet blanket might just smother Sydney, but we'll just have to see.
The blue sky's gone, Sandals. A bit
Yes.
more cloud rolling in. Could be more showers coming. These are those tense moments, the final words from normally the skipper just talking to his troops, reinforcing the message from the coach. Handle the pressure, be ready to go.
And to our tips, there's a little bit of a mixture here. Chase, you've gone in a tight one.
A tight one, the Swans.
Tight one, Dockers for me. 7 points.
I've gone Swans by 10 points.
Kingy and Vossi, you're both Sydney.
Yeah, Sydney just for me. 2.5 goals. It should be an absolute beauty.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Lynchy. But again, I think that the general theme there is that it's going to be a very, very tight game.
Do you remember much of those things when they said those in the huddle? Nah.
It's a blur,
They
isn't
go
it?
straight through one.
Yeah.
And I was talking most of the time.
What are you more concerned with at that time? Are you just thinking about your own game?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Focus.
yeah.
You've got a role to play, and you know what where the structures are. Exactly like that is. You've got your role. Play your role and do it to the best of your ability.
Cope with the
Absolutely.
pressure. Cope with the pressure. The first ball that comes your way, just handle it cleanly.
Just want to get the end result out of your mind. It's not about the end result, it's about controlling what you actually can control at the time, and that is focusing on that role.
I'll be interested to see how Adam Goods reacts to the criticism he's received in the last couple of weeks.
Head over the ball, he'll be very hard at it early on.
And this man, well, is carrying a huge responsibility, Aaron Sandilands. So we're just about set to go. There you can see the radar. There are some showers
It's on the
about.
way.
By no means a full house. He's one of the keys, not only to this game, but to the whole finals campaign, as far as the Dockers are concerned, Nat Fyfe. This is going to be an absolute rip snorter. Here we go.
Contest of what is expected to be an afternoon of high intensity. Cunningham lost his feet early. We heard Longmire say during the week.
On the ball, dive,
Long stops for all.
Sydney.
First win of the afternoon to the Swans, and suddenly through Hanbury they're away. First man they go to, guess who?
Alex, quick. Alex,
Jude
here.
nailed it from the line-up. Silvani to Franklin.
Here, right there.
Dawson to Tippett.
You've got also Mundy on Kennedy inside. A really strong battle with two really good ball winners inside.
Keep going. 5 metres, keep going. There, thank you. Hold there.
Well, Buddy, what a perfect start it would be. He's on his flank. The distance, not a problem. The accuracy this time is first score of this first qualifying final to the home side.
I was interested to see Cunningham starting inside just then. He was on the dangerous Stephen Hill.
Was welcome back too to Nat Fyfe, wasn't it, from umpire Brett Rosebery. No mucking around at all. Pinged him for holding the ball. Umpires today, Rosebery, Schmidt and Meredith. So Sutcliffe gets it to Spur, and Spur wants to take it on and come across the goals to Crowley. We see the puddles there from the feet of Crowley. Safe kick though to Hill, who lit up the corresponding fixture of last year. Kicked the match winner off the bench. The knockdown from Sandilands and what proved to be the sealer. Now Spur with Reid closing the gap. They've done it okay. And Duffield.
They wouldn't mind this, Sydney, just allowing Fremantle to go back and across. They've now camped them right down in that pocket.
Move on. Play on now.
So Duffield with no option now but to go long. So Zach Clark, the target, outnumbered. Tippett up in front. Grundy at the back. It's Tippett's mark.
So Tippett, a long ball to really dangerous spot. Body, he was just caught out there. Reid, hands on the football, a chance. Well, it's going to be a manic defensive effort from the Dockers all afternoon to curtail these big, tall forwards of the Swans.
No Johnson, no McFarlane, obviously. Ibbetson's got the unenviable task of the third tall, which is Sam Reid. We know how strong he can be in the air.
Yeah, the two All-Australian defenders for the Dockers out Fyfe the back end. So too Kennedy, snaffled it. Hanbury, now a chance. Jack, he's just offline.
All clear.
Hanbury's up and about early, Jude.
Yeah, he's had a little bit of a ball. He's had 3 disposals already, and Sydney have had the 2 repeat entries, so 2 inside 50s to nil at the moment.
So Fremantle haven't been into their half of the ground. The free kick early, and that's as close as they've been. Dawson back to Ibbetson. All of that a little untidy. Dawson goes to ground. Ibbetson off the deck. He knew Buddy was right behind him. Hanbury, good tackle. Mundy. And here's Hill. He was slow, though. Too slow. That should be holding the ball. Well, a contrast to what we saw at the opening bounce. The tackle not rewarded. Still play goes on deep inside 50. Out again, Mzungu. And then Buddy lays a big tackle.
That's what we saw last night as well.
That's fine.
Just a stunning tackle from Harry Cunningham there. But the pressure early on in finals, Tom, just really something special and behold.
So Sandilands And right alongside him, Mike Pike. Pike did well. Gets it down Parker's way. They worked the ball through a few sets of hands. Malcheski. We've seen a kick like that to win a grand final. It bounces into the post.
Yeah, the side that settles best first genuinely gets away early in games. We saw that that was Hawthorn last night. Geelong did come back a number of occasions, but here that's very much up in the air. Sydney have all the running, the ball inside their forward half, but just need to put the pressure on the scoreboard.
The big pack forms on the outer side. Well, the flyer, I think, was Parker. Went without it. Muzungu fumbles initially. 5 sets, some sort of a task. Muzungu went and cleaned up. Jude, you talk about these midfields. I mean, they are a hard-edged group, both teams. It's going to be akin to a bare-knuckled street fight this afternoon.
Yeah, it's certainly just the ability of Fremantle. They're tall, big-bodied midfielders. Barlow, Fundy, Fife and Mundy, just quality midfield. So really looking forward to this contest.
McGlynn, the tackler. Duffield went to ground.
As expected, Jude, we're looking at the Sydney defence. Nick Smith with Ballantyne. I'm sure there'll be moments where they all roll off onto different opponents, but that's the preferred one for Hayden Ballantyne.
And also, watching Crowley, he looks to be going to Jared McVeigh at this stage.
Ross Lyon generally gets it right with Crowley, doesn't he? That shows the respect that he has for the chairman of the Swans midfield.
So Clark to half forward. Fife's a target, leads Parker to the ball, and well, both his returns after suspension before today against the Swans, both of the returns enormous. 2 Brownlow votes last year, 32 possessions in round 5 this year. And Jude, you said it in the pre-game, he returns feeling he owes the team something after missing games. Inside 50 again. Sandland's a tall target. Pavlich not quite. Crowley, he has the football, he distributes, crashing on through. Fife, he somehow got a boot to ball, and Goods, he'll mop up, he'll get some territory.
Working down deep is Adam Goods, and the champ finds some territory. Perfect kick.
Just both teams, as they're exiting the defensive 50, they need to have that control kick or a kick to a bailout at this point.
Very defensive game early that both sides have had opportunities to build that wall, keep it inside their forward 50 once they've got inside.
Ross Lyons only missed the finals once as a coach. That was in his first year, 2007, with St Kilda. They finished 9th, the Saints, and Nat Fife puts it out of bounds on the full. Fife, 4 disposals, 2 weeks out with suspension. It's the poor old Sydney Swans that seem to be on the receiving end each time. 3 times he's been suspended, 3 times he's come back first game against the Sydney Swans. Disposal number 5, he releases Duffield. Long ball down towards Taberner. Rampy caught behind him. Plays it well, Rampy, with a wham haircut circa 1986. And the disposal to Kennedy, spot on.
Malcheski on the bounce, took it cleanly, got a couple of runners. Richards sweeps the ball back to Rampy. Now to Gary Rowan. We know he's got a lot of time. He backs himself. We need to bounce. Well, he bounced to stride too late, and suddenly the Dockers have an opportunity to get the first major of the afternoon.
That's the other asset that Michael Walters brings to the Fremantle forward line. Tendai Mzungu getting the free kick, but just that forward line pressure that both he, Ballantyne and Mzungu are able to provide.
Kicked their first goal in the grand final last year, and this would be a real win, wouldn't it, for Fremantle? All the disposal, all the possession with Sydney, and Freo with the first genuine set shot on goal.
So it sounds a very pro-Sydney crowd. Mzungu, he blocks it out, he kicks the goal. The Dockers are in front early going. Hasn't he become some sort of an asset for the Fremantle Dockers?
He's just hard and big and plays an uncomplicated style of game, very much suited to finals football. And speaking of finals football, you need to make the most of your opportunities. Sydney certainly had the run in the first 5 or 6 minutes, Jude, but just not able to hit the scoreboard.
Yeah, the disposal are already 24-19, and just his ability, Mzungu, to run up and back alongside just the other elite runners at the moment. Straight back.
I don't mind this by Gary Ryan taking the game on. He just overstepped the mark by 1. That's great pressure there by Ballantyne, but continue to back yourself. That'd be my message to Gary Ryan.
Well, you feel like Sydney had all of the play in the opening 5 minutes, and they've got nothing to show for it. Fremantle up by 3 points. McGlynn back in the side, hard at it. He was playing very good football, Jude, when he went down.
Yeah, he's such an important player to the Swans. He's just like a human cannonball. He's got the matchup with Lachie Neale at the moment, who we know has been in stunning form.
Missed the last 3 with that calf injury. Good handball from Mike Pike. He releases Reid. Silvani and Franklin tangle. Ibbotson at the back. Now he needs to be careful here. Handball for Spur. The kick along the line had a bit too much on it. Over Crowley's head, goes out.
Just seeing Silvani there with Buddy, Tommy. Silvani needs to play a big role in September, particularly this afternoon. 7th game of the year, comes in and takes Buddy.
Yeah, well, we know his uncle, Stephen Silvani, was such a fantastic player for Carlton, and he has got a big job, Alex, tonight on the Swans. Superstar forward.
Huge responsibility this afternoon for the youngster. Back inside it went. Free kick going the way of the Dockers at half-back. They've been ferocious. So Neale, the tackler. Well, disappointing in the end. A chance for Jetta to swoop. He does, but in the end, Neale does a good job of it. Duffield now has to contemplate. Hugs the line. Well, Main, he's got a couple to beat. Floating back. In front was Rowan, suited McGlynn, and McGlynn brings it through the middle. Lloyd, terrific take. Now quickly, Shaw. So often he propels the Swans forward. A chance for Grundy. He goes searching. This time it's Reid. It doesn't get any better than that. Over the top, Buddy. Well, Silvani was there. Illegally, so says the umpire, and Buddy will get a 2nd shot at goal.
Well, Ibbotson was the one who was loose. He was sitting back initially, but then Reid pulled back. He's playing as that higher forward. He came back, engaged Ibbotson, and then just a little chip over the top to Freddie Franklin.
Barely the required distance, the kick over the top. Sam Reid's looked really lively, pushing it up into the midfield. Has the high half forward, as you say, Jude.
He's got a big tank, Sam Reid, and that's what his expectation. Up and back, taking those marks high up the ground.
Well, it doesn't get much better than that. More Buddy brilliance. His first of the afternoon. Swans back in front. He does what many of us dream of, and he does it often. He is a player that is really only sort of limited by his own imagination. There was never a doubt that he's just going to lace that. Big occasion, big moment, no problem.
I certainly think it's not as pronounced, the Buddy arc. He's been doing a lot of work with Nick Davis over this season. I don't think it's as pronounced as normal.
Coming straight back here.
And here's the Buddy Franklin finish. He's just a quality finisher this season. Just watching some of the matchups, Sydney were very slow to get their 3rd player inside this ball up.
So Sydney with their noses in front now by 3 points. The tough customers, McGlynn. He won the footy, gives it to Cunningham. He was taken high, the advantage paid. Long to Buddy again. He's got 2 to beat. Can he beat him? He's given away a free kick.
That was Ibbotson just sitting in front, just putting that extra body in front of Franklin right there.
So what an afternoon for Silvani. Just his 46th game. He's played 15 games in his debut year of 2010, and then 9, 5, 10, and now 7 this year. 2 years ago, he famously played on Taylor Walker in a semi-final. He gets more big jobs than Superman. And Duffield, who held it a long time, goes towards Sanderlands. Parker over the foot. He's given away a free kick, Sandy.
Sydney, come around, please. Come around 2 metres, Luke. Thank you. Mark's there. Thanks, Aaron.
So again, not great methodology, bringing it out from deep in defence. This is where Sydney is so dangerous. Now, most of the team appear to be pointing towards the top of the square. But he's had a shot, I reckon, and it's a good shot. It's better than that, it's a goal.
Just a quality finish, Tom. Just goes back. All the Fremantle Dockers had folded back inside 50, and to go back, it's such a weapon in your armoury to go back and slot it from 50 like that.
And the confidence to do so, Jude, as Basil touched on. The expectation was top of the square, but you get the sense that he is more than comfortable with his own ability and thought, well, why bother with the top of the square? Let's ping at the goals.
Just have a look at Ibbotson's feet here. Do you see the water that's in that right forward pocket that the Swans are kicking to now?
Just the one spot there. I mean, it's got to be said, there's been a lot of talk about the surface. It's come up an absolute treat as Andrew Welsh spoke about in the pre-game, but there's clearly a very damp spot there in that forward pocket.
We spoke to the curator pre-game and he said it drains very well and the wind was drying things out. They'd had an inch in the last 24 hours. Seems to be good underfoot. A lot of turf replaced during the week. Duffield ducks and weaves. Back he goes. Barlow to a man with some time and space. Neil can go over the top to Ibbotson. Ignores him. Ballantyne a long way from home. Smith, as always, wearing his opponent well. Unsung, unheralded, an All-Australian nominee reward for an outstanding season.
Already we're seeing Ross Lyon really happy to have a number of numbers back. At that stage, it was Spur sitting back in front of the hole, in front of Franklin, which allows Malcheski loose off the back.
Slow start for Ballantyne, hasn't touched the footy yet. Kennedy, Parker. Sutcliffe coming the other way.
How do you get rid of that? Thank you.
The loose man in front of Franklin for Fremantle is a really good setup for Fremantle. It means that the Swans have a half forward. It might be Sam Reid, it might be Parker, needs to get involved. Jake Lloyd's also free up there. So they've got numbers at the contest, but they need to be smart when they use it away from the contest.
McVeigh, Cheddar, Jack, good tackle by Mundy. It needed to be two. Lockie Neal. Now Kennedy with his hands on the football. Well done, Lloyd. Wins it back to Smith and goes back and gets it again. Opens them up through the middle now. Rowan, it's a wobbly kick, not a good one, and Pearce is in here. So he gathers the football. Pavlich breaking. Pavlich is the man. Brilliant mark by the skipper. Plays on. One bounce. Has a second. Oh, the captain's a beauty.
You can't get prepared for a turnover like that from Gary Rowan. Coming through the middle, everyone's turning and running back towards goal. To butcher the football like that, it's always going to be a quick transfer of play. But what a strong grab from Matthew Pavlich.
When you've got such a tight, contested game, they're almost free goals, aren't they? A direct turnover like that. So when you've got ball in hand, particularly across halfback, you've just got to treat it like gold. And Matthew Pavlich, what a class act.
Well, here's the turnover here. Gary Rowan coming through the middle. You can see Rhys Short breaking and turning to space. Daniel Pearce, quick transfer, turn of play, and what a grab from Matthew Pavlich.
It looked like he clipped his toe on the turf before he connected with the football, so he's had a couple of ordinary turnovers early, has Gary Rowan. Crowley quickly forward again. Taberner almost the clean take. Swans have got the numbers. Rowan got caught with the football. He'll get the free kick.
Now to settle things down, Gary Rowan, he has had a tough start to the game. He's got copious amounts of ability and can take the risk, but on that occasion, that's a good decision. Just take the easy option.
Thank you.
We saw Sandilands there in the centre clearance really hit the ball outside of the danger zone, because you know the Swans are so strong in the contest. They're trying to get it over that. They're trying to push it outside their strong numbers and get their runners onto the ball.
Well, at half forward, suddenly the Swans have got a free McVeigh and a runner over the top to McGlynn. He should sum it up. He does sum it up. Welcome back, Benny McGlynn. They stretch you, they're so fast, and suddenly you're thinking you're in position to score, and suddenly you're defending inside your defensive 50.
Really underestimated those quick hands in tight, and then once they had the overlap, it was just able to just quickly handball over the top. But this guy, Ben McLean, is just playing with such venom and intensity when he plays. You know he's missed the previous final series. This is one he wants to count.
Really, really important matchup, the Pike-Sandilands matchup. That's great poise there from Pike on that occasion. Parker's got a bit of fife about him, doesn't he? He can take the contested mark. He was the player that set it up for the Swans on the far side.
Real arm wrestle for the first 7 minutes of this match. No goals scored until the first. And since then, 5 goals in the next 10. And how about that? Pavlich marks Hill the kick down his throat, and the skipper will go back and shoot for his second.
Well, there's the importance of a good clearance from Fremantle Dockers straight out of the middle. And Pavlich in front, first to move, gets the grab.
So the last time he was on this ground was the first time he was on this ground 8 years ago in that preliminary final. Sydney winning that day through to the grand final by 35 points. Jude Bolton was in the lineup. He kicked 4 that day, the Pav. He's kicking at his second here. He just got under it a bit behind.
Sydney have had all the footy. It's 57 disposals to 39 at this point of the game.
Well, Shaw not finding his target. Clark, as always, athletic. Just speaking about Pav playing here before in the prelim, only 5 Dockers have ever played here before. So 4 Dockers in that prelim. and Dawson as a Saint versus 378 games combined for the Swans. So a foreign ground for 17 of the 22 Dockers. Kennedy, Pike, Shaw, and suddenly Smith. Terrific series of handballs, and Richards onto the left boot. Long ball, Tippett. Dawson, what an assignment he has this afternoon. Tippett just tried to work it inside. It might just work out. Parker, as always, runs into trouble, just bounces back. This time taken to ground.
Built for finals football, Luke Parker.
Thanks, boys.
He's just absolutely hard as nails. He wins the ball on the inside. He's got more skill than people give him credit for on the outside, and he's an absolute beauty.
Well, he's a battering ram when he needs to be, and then he creates when he's given some space.
Fife wins his way through. He's a contested football star. Walters, well done to Mzungu. Rowan smothered it initially. It came back to Mzungu. Sandilands, nice take on the bounce. Probably the only man that could have taken that ball on the bounce. Kick inside. Barlow, can he break the tackle? Rowan did really well. Mzungu kept going. Richards in trouble. And now McGleany missed the handball. So they set up again. Fife from Sandilands. Back to Neil. Good tackle, Pike. Clark now, high ball, they reset, Tabernar, Crowley comes the other way, on the ground Richards, Mzungu, Lloyd hard in there, good finals football, we'd expect nothing less. Kennedy went looking for Shaw, now Grundy back to Smith, and Lloyd with the clearing kick.
Well, now it's Reid, he was held, and they can relieve. Where are the Sydney runners? Only 2 Swans fall to the ball for Reid to contemplate. Over the top, they start to spread now. Lloyd, what a season he has had. Debuted against the Dockers in round 5, plays his first final against them. He looks like a Swan who's going to spend a decade in those colours. Speaking of decades, that's what that man's been contracted for. Tippett, oh, well done in the end. Floating back, great grab, Ibbotson. He'll be called upon all afternoon. Spur knows a bit about finals football. Played a lot in the SNFL. 3 grand finals in a row. Fife goes searching. In the end, the ball just knocked away. Fife might get it again. He does. Back to Tabernar. Jetta put the pressure on. McVeigh will charge at the football. He'll get Ballantyne high. And what can they manufacture here? Quickly they move the football.
Clark. It was well done by Richards on Pavlich. The ball's still alive. Richards wanted it more. Parker. Handball up for Jetta. Now will they take him on through the middle? It's a probing kick, and Jack marks, and they're away now, the Swans. Buddy Franklin won out with Silvani. That's what they want. Buddy's got it on the deck, and he's got a free kick.
Because if you ever wanted to see the difference between home day football and finals football, this is a game for it. The intensity with which both sides are attacking the contest here, Buddy just, I mean, that's a clear free kick for over the shoulder, and he's got one that's got him a little bit in the jaw there. I don't think he's in trouble there, Zach Dawson. He hasn't got him high enough, but you wouldn't want to swing like that too often.
Certainly wanted to make him earn it. I think everyone going for the footy has just got that mindset of just going in just with real intensity.
It's welcome back, Nat. 5-2, isn't it? Up to 9 disposals already. Buddy Franklin kicking for his 48th goal in a final. It's Swan late, behind. Sydney's lead, 9 points. John Longmire. No man has ever coached Sydney to 2 premierships. He's going for that very special piece of Swan history.
Guys, the Swans interchange just coming off them for their standard rotations. They're actually 1 down because Macheski's gone down to the interchange rooms. He's been down there for about 5 minutes now. He linked down there with the physio, so when he comes back out, I'll get you an update, but they're 1 down on the bench at the moment.
Thanks, Welshie. 1 to watch. Clark quickly inside. Walters just held it and gave it to another dasher. He gives it back. Walters now. Fife's the man he wants. He's found him too. Well, Fife, he's done it all already this afternoon. He's been 3rd man up in the ruck contest. He's been defending. Now he's the target.
Really good play from that Fife, though. Took Luke Parker forward. He doesn't play defence too often. He just worked him forward, then comes back at the footy.
It's a great matchup, the Fife-Parker one. As you say, Jude, really clever play here. Good build-up, Walters getting involved.
His 10th touch of the afternoon, his first goal. Welcome back. This man is the future of the Dockers. There's some schools of thought Jude, that 2 weeks off for Nat Fyfe would really help him at this stage of the year. Suspended, I know. He'd been wanting to play, absolutely, but he'll be so fresh now for this month.
Well, we spoke to Ross Lyon during the week, and he just said he was doing a lot of tackling work, a lot of spread work as well.
Straight back. Straight back.
Here's the quick transfer of play from Fremantle Dockers, gets it in, and there was Nat Fyfe, worked his opponent, Luke Parker, who didn't want to be in defence, and came back at the footy. We know how good he is in the air.
10 disposals and a goal in his first 23 minutes. Gets suspended for 2 weeks. Every season before the finals, Fremantle fans will be thinking, here's Lloyd over the footy, needs to be careful. We saw Fyfe with that at the opening bounce.
Thanks, Jack.
Not this time, says umpire Rosebery.
It's interesting to note the two guys who are fresh. Even Josh Kennedy has also had the 7 disposals, 6 of those contested. Nat Fyfe has had 6 contested.
Parker getting a lot of the footy. Sorry, Jude. And McVeigh, he goes long. Ibbotson playing his role well.
Yeah, setting this up really well, Fremantle. The Swans need to be aware of that when they're bringing the ball inside forward 50. That means the role that Tippett and Reid play as key targets for the Swans is crucial.
Barlow down the line again, a little bit too much on it. Walters over his head, and McVeigh making sure it got over the line.
Smith's got the role on Ballantyne, as we mentioned. It's he's going to play him tight and tough all day.
Smith right now is like chewing gum on your shoe. Irritating, hard to get rid of. Every time Ballantyne turns around, Smith's just right there in his grill. Ballantyne is the danger man, and John Longmire has sensed that. Nick Smith straight to him. Speaking to Ross Lyon during the week, he said Ballantyne was the guy I always sent Stephen Baker to. John Longmire, similar school of thought, the best stopper. So Hill quickly on the right boot this time. Ugly sort of a bounce for Pavlich. McVeigh, he can go over the top, does, and here's the man that we've just been speaking about. He's got a runner who can get and go in Lloyd. Well, Main got there in the end and just holds him up. Jetta, who was lit up Fields in September before that famous run against Frioli in 2012. Cunningham over his head. Dawson had it, lost it. Buddy's got it, crashes his way through. Wants Jack. Silvani was desperate. Spur sees it knocked out. Was Parker to McGlynn. Already has one McGlynn this time. You see the ball in that really wet area, Jude.
Yeah, just sprayed up as the ball hit the ground, but the Swans wouldn't mind that. It just got a defensive forward stoppage right now to set up something.
22 plays 19. Sydney by 3 points. What a great start to this qualifying final it's been. We expected this. We've got it. No place should rather be in the country right now than watching this game of footy. Kennedy, another of those players back in this week. Obviously, Fyfe, the key man for Fremantle. 5 of them for the Sydney Swans. His streak of 127 consecutive games coming to an end in round 21 when he did that hamstring. So Crowley, quite deliberate. Again, Walters the target. Again, too much on it. And Richards, right place, right time. Dishes to Hanbury. High ball. Buddy's the target. Buddy's the meat in the sandwich. Second attempt, not quite. Mundy, an important kick out. Shaw's going to get there first.
Ballantyne, really important. Big tackle. Got the ball and sent it wide. McGlynn, little fumble. Ballantyne again. This time he gets him high.
Geez, his intensity's fantastic. Hayden Ballantyne. Sure, he may give away a few free kicks.
The initial play, Tom, was so important.
Yeah, that would have stopped. That just immediately stopped the repeat entry. There's nothing wrong with giving a free kick away out there.
Well, Cheddar wasn't meant for him. He's ended up with a football. Little slip. Now, Adam Goods, haven't called his name too much. Silvani in front of Goods.
Now, Chessie's come back out of the rooms. He's still spending a lot of time with the physios and doctors and stretching his left hamstring a lot. So I'll keep you posted, and hopefully the Swans, they can get him back out there.
Well, Main so strong. His first touch of the afternoon. Hasn't had one of his best seasons, but maybe he has the month that he craves. Ibbotson, little one inside. Back it comes to Ibbotson. Here's Ballantyne. Still too far out. Pulls a kick. Bouncing ball. Fyfe or Taberner. Well done, Jack. Got in there. Lost it again. Fyfe wants Walters. Throw the call. So it's 52 seconds left in the first term. It's a 3-point ball game. The movie started well.
Jack then for the outer side. Time for a goal for either team. Kennedy, so reliable. What a year he's had. Plays on quickly. Buddy's the man again, intercepting well. Stephen Hill, his brother, we saw him on the big stage of Friday night. Superb last night. Crowley now might be just content to run it down.
Not really running with a hard matchup, Ryan Crowley. He spent time on all the Swans midfielders this afternoon.
Yeah, he's looked to match up at different stages on Hanbury, but not that hard tag that we expected.
Play on, you're out, play on.
So Duffield to Dawson. He goes long down the line. And Sandilands, big grab. Always a good sign for Fremantle. Well, it's an intriguing contest, isn't it? Stakes so high. The winner into a home preliminary final. And the loser's got to do it the hard way. And it's a beauty at the first break. It's the Swans by 3 points. Sydney 3-4. Fremantle 3-1. Saturday afternoon, finals football. Well, interesting, we saw Nick Malcheski bouncing before the team went through the banner. More on that in just a moment. Breaking news. Sydney, though, 3-4. Fremantle 3-1. Sydney leading by 3 points. Exactly what we thought we would get. Just a great qualifying final. And Parker with the 10 disposals, Nat Fyfe with the 10 disposals, both of them born to play finals football. But let's get down to Welshie. 15th final for Nick Malcheski. He spent the last 14 minutes of the opening term on the bench. Watch the news, Andrew.
Yeah, and it's not good news for the Swans for today with Nick Malcheski. He's been subbed out of the game. Burt has come on, so a lot of concerns around his left hamstring. He went down the race, as you said, for 14 minutes, come back, a lot of discussions with the doctors and physios. Let's just hope they're going with precaution for his left hamstring. They've obviously got some really important games coming up, and they want him out there, one of their key runners that he's been this year for the Swans. But what I've been really impressed with for the Swans is their handballs and their use around the stoppage. We know that they were going to come out against a really tough, combative style of play against Freo. It was going to be in close, it was going to be tight, but they're 20 more handball receives around the ground. In tight, they've got 20 more handballs than Freo. As you can see here, they're making him react. They're trying to get the free option. A little bit scrappy here. We see McGlynn a little bit fumbly, Shaw a little bit fumbly. Once they start getting hold of these, they're going to really open up the game, because that's the way they're going to be able to get on the outside of this Freo Dockers team, is get it out here, flick it out and spread the run. But the concern there is Malcheski, who's been subbed out for the game.
Good on you, Welshie. Yeah, well, Josh Kennedy, a hammy after 127 consecutive games. He missed just the 2 weeks. And Nick Malcheski, after 60 consecutive games, the hamstring today, he'll be hoping it's only 2 weeks as well.
We saw him talking to the doctor right then, Nathan Gibbs, and you could just see he just didn't want to give it up, but he had to take the red vest.
So the second stanza underway. The first provided 6 individual goal scorers, 2 lead changes, and Malcheski out for the match.
Well, you talk structurally now, he's obviously provided so much run and rebound. Gary Rowan has been moved to half-back the past couple of weeks. He needs to pick up that slack there, and Dane Rampy again locked down on Michael Walters. So they're certainly one key player down. Craig Bird had a bit of grunt through the midfield for the Swans.
Yeah, it looks like Bird will go through the midfield and McVeigh will play that half-back role and try and provide that run. And obviously Rampy needs to really have a good running game as well.
So Bird, after missing 2 with his knee, back early. Goods inside 50. You back him from here. Well, he doesn't. He gives it off. Franklin might do the same. Reed's got a problem now. Dawson runs at him. Terrific stuff. Well done, Zach Dawson. It looked like a Swans goal. Not a bad result for the Dockers.
Well, Welshie spoke about the handballs of the Swans. You can overdo it. They're actually running less than 1-to-1 with kick-to-handball ratio, Sydney. So should have gone back and kicked the goal, both Goods and Franklin.
Oh, Main, tremendous courage to take the mark. He keeps going. Pavlich in support. What a goal this would be. For 2 for the skipper. Fremantle from one end to the other.
That was the 12-point play. Well, actually 11 in the end, but just huge stuff from Dawson.
Yeah, needed to get a result from the other end. It was fantastic play by Kurt Tippett to get it out to Adam Goods, but Goods, he needed to keep the goal, but that just shows you how potent they can be. Freo. Chris Mayne was involved. He was quiet in the first term with just the 1 disposal, but setting up that one for Pavgis. The skipper's playing a game.
Yeah, the last 2 goals have come from coast to coast. we see Chris Mayne, who had a really quiet first term, only the one disposal, and their last 2 goals, the Fremantle Dockers, have come from transition footy and coast-to-coast efforts. So really playing fast, free footy when they get going.
Matty Pavlich, 12th final, a master of his craft. He gets his second, and the Dockers get the lead back.
High fend off. Yeah.
Heard the umpires. High fend off. Jetta quickly over the top. Tippett's got 3 Dockers with him. In the end, the numbers went out. Sutcliffe has missed a game all year. Goes wide. Muzungu threads his way through Swans. Ballantyne gets there before Grundy. Couldn't take the football with him. Richards slipped in a similar spot last weekend. New turf there. Rampy partially smothered. Hanbury, well, high up and under. Parker turned thinking there were going to be people coming out. Crowley, well done. Spur, Sandlands inside. Barlow fumbled. Time to get it again. Back he goes. Spur, well, 2 Swans came at him. Again, the kick was just impeded. Hill got hold of the football, then lost it. Cunningham, Smith. It is high-intensity stuff. It spills out wide. Jetta now threads the ball. Tippett a little bit too savage. Franklin wanted McGlynn, missed him. And then Dawson can mop up. Barlow, Crowley. Franklin will charge at Crowley. He gets the kick away. Clark, Hanbury. Hanbury wins the battle of wits. Hanbury now inside the pocket. A diving McGlynn.
Unbelievable effort from Dan Hanbury there on Zach Clark. Just that one-on-one battle right on the half-forward flank as it's exiting to win that ball and then enter and just a low kick out in front of Ben McGlynn and a diving mark.
How good is this football? The smothers from Pike and Parker and Fife in a head-to-head midfield battle. It's just extraordinary.
So McGlynn has 1. Put another down. He's got a couple. He and Pav have got a couple each. 4th lead change already. Swans by 4. Well, you hope they're going to be good games. You hope they're going to be tight. You hope they're going to be ferocious. Thank you, Fremantle. Thank you, Sydney.
Tick, 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 home.
Yeah.
Just got absolutely 0 time to think and execute your skills, haven't you, Tom?
Oh, the pressure's just amazing. And then you spoke in the pre-game, Jude, about just these 2 teams, particularly the midfield's tailor-made for finals football. And we're seeing a midfield finals masterclass. Hanbury, Kennedy, Parker, Fife, Barlow, Mundy. It's just great to watch.
Well, here's the finish from Ben McGlynn, but it came from the one-on-one effort from Dan Hanbury, who out-muscled and out-bustled Zach Clark and then was able to enter inside 50.
So umpire Rosebery bangs it down. Best bouncer in the caper. Last 6 AFL Grand Finals, and Bird got the handball forward. McVeigh, long, Ibbotson read it well. That's his role today with no Johnson. And so far, so good. Now Sandilands over the top, a looping handball for Duffield, trying to get away from Goods. He did. Clark, not a great handball. Ibbotson in trouble. Goods might be away here. Parker drifting by, just left the footy behind for a moment. And Pike, the ball along the deck. Dawson, he knew Spur was there. He used him well. And they can move the football to the other side. Neal's got Muzungu running. Jack trying to close him down. And Crowley was the man on, trying to pop it over the top. It was a clever kick in the end, although the fact that it bounced made it difficult for Crowley, and Reed's in. Handball back to Lloyd. Long to Franklin. Well done, Muzungu, the wingman, getting back.
There's great courage there from Muzungu. It's very clear the Fremantle Footy Club, they're talking about 18-man team defence, all playing a role. 3-on-1 to Franklin. The Swans need to find another avenue to goal, Jude.
Getting really good support there. Ibbotson's taken 4 marks. Duffield's taken 4 marks as well.
So Muzungu, who kicked the first of the afternoon for the Dockers, works it to the wing. Neal, little fumble, gathered. Crowley, Neal has to beat Hanbury, does. Back to Crowley, again a fumble. To Pearce, who hasn't missed since becoming a Docker. Well, Fife was out the back, Walters in front. The Swans win the battle. So Smith again threads it through. Well, that was terrific stuff in the end. Bird, who started as sub, gets hold of the football. Richards just draws the man, beats the man in the end. What did McVeigh Didn't work out. Works out in the end, though. McGlynn out the back. Terrific stuff. Well done, Spur. Had to take the mark and did.
These mid-sized defenders for Fremantle are doing a hell of a job. Not only beating their opponents one-on-one, but helping out in the air. Spur, Ibbotson, fantastic.
5 for 11 now. Lockie Neal has 11. And Lee Spur 10, all playing good games. So Johnson out before the bounce. Do you feel like Malcheski's absence now evens that up somewhat?
Yeah, that's a really good summary, I think, Baz. Both provide great run and rebound. I guess Johnson more of a key position player, but if Silvani can hang tough and Dawson continue to put physical pressure on his direct opponent, it's 1 for 1.
A lot said pre-game about Fremantle not having been here a lot, foreign conditions for most of the team, but you just knew that a Ross Lyon coach team, particularly this Fremantle outfit, was never going to struggle with that.
These two teams have matched up exceptionally well against each other the last 3 games, split them 1 for 1 and a draw, so it was always going to be a tough, tight affair, and that's exactly what we're getting this afternoon.
4-point ball game. Sydney in front. Neal taken high, no free. Bird gets in there to lay the tackle.
Baz, with Johnson obviously going out the team during the week, it's given them the ability to plan. So they've spent 3 or 4 days now planning how to disassemble their forward structure for the Swans. The Swans now have got to react on the run. They've got to try and figure out what to do with Malcheski, who's playing really well on Walters and Ballantyne. So they've got some more dramas now they'll have to sort out.
Well, Reed's got some dramas on the outer side. The purple jumper's just grabbing hold of him and ragdolling.
Just with that extra back, obviously Fremantle sitting back, you've got to be able to use your hands, but also look laterally with that entry kick, because currently they're just entering in. They've had 4 inside 50s, and the Fremantle Dockers have all marked pretty much every one.
And of course the other bonus home of the Malcheski sub early is Fremantle will have the fresh man late. Crozier their sub.
So quickly the kick goes forward. Ibbotson front spot.
Simon, go. Fremantle.
So they continue to hold up the Fremantle defenders. Silvani, game 7, comes in to replace Johnson, and he's started the afternoon well. Duffield normally a good user. This time Pavlich had to turn and do the desperate stuff, knocked it down. Now the 50-50 ball. Pearce against Parker in the end. Mundy helps out to Pavlich. Too hot in the end for Taberner. And Grundy, who left training on Thursday with a tight calf, again, as he's done for years, mops up, cleans up and tidies up and contemplates the next play. To the wing, caught a little behind Parker. McGlynn the beneficiary. Now Reed. The kick, well, bounces in front, and Dawson was there.
I think, Tom, you almost have to concede that and I guess make Ibbotson engage now. You have to almost play one-on-one inside your forward 50.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's making really good decisions and cutting the ball off. I guess the other answer to that, Jude, is the halfback for the Swans or through the midfield. You really needs to get busy and make him accountable by being damaging when he brings the ball inside the forward 50.
Well, currently we've got Reece Shaw sitting right back at the moment. Nick Smith is also folding back pretty quickly, so they've probably seen Fremantle's quick transition goals and said, we'll just happy to sit one back.
Gee, it's a good game, isn't it? Just love this style of football. They play it as well as any 2 teams in the comp. Mundy's kick just a little high now. Shaw will be in here. He can open things up after he got it from Smith. Lloyd, Rowan, brilliant sidestep. All the pace, the kick not good. Off the side of the boot. And lucky to land inside the field of play.
You can see Benny McGlynn got over to Gary Rowan to give him a pat on the back, keep his head up, because he sort of drops his head if he misses a kick, and he's missed a couple already today.
What are you feeling right now? Gary Rowan has had 3 kicks for the afternoon. All of them missed the target.
Yeah, you certainly can go into your shell, and that's where I think you see Ben McGlynn get over to him. You don't want to lose that player just with a lack of confidence.
Well, he becomes really important now with Malcheski subbed out of the game.
He continues to take the game on, Rowan, but the execution let him down at the moment.
In the back! Fremantle. Hey. Thanks, Craig. Hold.
A little lull. 4 lead changes already this afternoon. Swans by 4.
Play on.
And with that kick, Duffield becomes the 4th Fremantle Docker with 11 disposals. Sandilands, big mark.
On there, Ken.
It's a couple we've seen close to the boundary line. One to end the first term, and that one there. Long kick now. Grundy with a big fist. Pushed off at Hanbury. Mundy won it down towards Pearce. Parker did brilliantly. Hanbury came again. The little pop kick over the top, and Tippett marks.
I'm in. Thanks, Aaron.
Hard and tough.
Move it on.
Sydney by 4 points. Tippett now just his 5th disposal. He squeezed it, and it got to Jack. Now a bouncing ball for Buddy. Brilliantly done, the little flip off for Lloyd. Playing in his first final. Taberner in his first final for Fremantle. Well done, Walters, Ibbotson, Barlow, they combine. And here is Taberner. He's got a bit of work to do here. It goes further, and Main marks. Well done to provide the contest. A drifting ball, and he read it well.
Only the 2 inside 50 for Fremantle this quarter. Sydney need to get better return from their 6.
Hold there.
So Main short to Crowley. He's got Dawson on. As Hames said, he's played on this ground once before for St Kilda. The kick inside 50 from Spur. Well done. Chopped off. Parker getting back to help out the defence, and the handball good back for McVeigh.
So Kennedy, what a return for Kennedy already. We've seen it 9 times.
Move it on.
A couple of weeks watching on after 127 without miss. Well, again, Dawson, the most experienced Docker in terms of finals, knocks it down. Pearce, Sutcliffe back to Pearce. Well, Pav caught out, Fife right spot, but Pav out the back might just be able to paddle it forward. Main again involved. This time, Main gives away the free kick.
I've seen a few reckless free kicks, and I think it's just that intensity of the game. You're trying to make an impact at different stages. You've got to still execute your tackles.
Well, 4th kick for Gary Rowan, the first to find its target. Back inside to Nick Smith.
Play on.
It goes quickly. Here's Shaw. Back to Grundy. Had been precise bringing the ball out of defence. Cunningham. Now he could go quickly. Just held up a touch and back to Shaw.
Really good play from Duffield there. Got up on the mark of Harry Cunningham because Jetta was out free on the wing. Just forces this back into defensive 50.
They've done really well here, Fremantle. They've hemmed them in. And this is where the narrower ground obviously plays into their hands. So Richards, not a great kick. Well read by Sutcliffe. He takes the footy in front of him, keeps going. Ballantyne up in front. Pavlich, did he mark? Taberner sends it back well. I'm not sure. Pav, it may have been the mark, the rush of blood. We may never know. Sydney by 3 points.
Was it touched, Baz? It might have been touched on the way through.
Well, here we go. Little error in the end. And
just setting up here defensively. Fundamentally, they're playing, this is Fremantle playing a one-on-one game as Brett Kirk, the former Swans legend, with Ross Lyon, but it just gives this Fremantle side an opportunity to hem the ball inside their forward 50 once they set up from the stoppage.
What did Ross Lyon say on the phone during the week? Coaching takes grown men to places they should never go to. You see John and Ross, plenty to think about this afternoon. Buddy's already had an impact. He wheels onto that left boot of his. Bouncing ball for Lloyd, controls it well. Now to the top of the square, going back with it. McGlynn already got a couple. Boundary line has a win.
And now it's the Swans' opportunity. It's a pretty quick transference of play. We just watch here. Yeah, it was touched. So Pav obviously had no choice but to flick it off to Taberner. The Swans now have the opportunity to set up defensively to keep the ball inside their front half.
This time Dawson, the third man up, buys some territory, but McGlynn, first man there. Rowan hasn't had a great start by boot. This time it's offline as well, and sails out of bounds on the full.
Dave!
So Sutcliffe there in the hands of the trainers.
So Mundy then. Sydney with the last inside 50. The previous 4 for Fremantle. Not a great kick off the boot. He went for distance. Didn't connect well. It dropped short. Good mark by Kennedy.
Don't hold!
It was a prodigious kick of the footy, Josh Kennedy. This might be just outside his range, though.
This year or 2012 a better season?
15 gone.
I think he's been extremely good this year, but I guess I saw it up close in 2012, so he was very good.
Goes to the top of the square. It beats everyone. real tumbler, and in the end, Mundy just stepping it over the line. 10 disposals now for Kennedy, 14 for Parker. He leads all comers out on the ground.
Well, that's the area of the ground that's been re-turfed and where the retractable seats are for the rugby league there. Josh Kennedy losing his footing.
So Duffield in his 8th final goes searching. Taberner in his first, couldn't control the football. Grundy does the tough work. Walters, can he just get it forward to Crowley?
Yeah, a knock for Sutcliffe there. There'll be a few sore bodies tomorrow morning. It's a collision game this afternoon, no doubt about that.
Two ruthless sides, brutal and unrelenting, going at each other for a week's rest, a home preliminary final. And their next opponent will be a battle-weary traveller. So much on the line this afternoon. The Swans, 3 games here so far this year, just the one win. Losses to the Pies and the Tigers last weekend. The Dockers trying to inflict some more pain. They have become road warriors. Parker, half a chance.
Luke Parker now up to 15 disposals, 13 of those contested, 5 clearances and 2 shots on goal. That's one hell of a first half of football.
Good news for the Dockers with Sutcliffe. He just got getting taped up now by the physio to that right knee. They check the stability and everything looks to be good, which is great news for the Dockers fans.
So Dawson then. In game 63 for Fremantle. They move the ball quickly, Mzungu. And now Ballantyne wasting no time. Main's the target here, and Main, perfect kick. It drew the lead, and Main didn't let him down.
That's it. We know Fremantle Dockers, they don't get a hell of a lot of inside 50s, but they're so efficient once they're inside 50. And this is one of the guys who's so important to them. Just very effective. He's dangerous. He's a really good set shot for goal.
Well, Main, statistically speaking, looks like he's been quiet. Just 3 disposals. This is his 4th. He created that second goal of Matthew Pavlich's, and his running and chasing has been superb. 13 goals, 9 this season. Kicking for his first of the afternoon. Behind.
Yeah, that's a distance that tests most players, but Chris Main, he's so deliberate in his approach, has the marked out run up. You put your glasses down with him 35 metres out, but when you're kicking from 50, it's a difficult kick.
Hardly missed in that 2012-13 period in front of goals. Chris Main.
It's interesting to note that that was another coast-to-coast score for the Fremantle Dockers.
So Rampy, a revelation to Hanbury. Just waits, doesn't get rushed, pulls a kick, terrific stuff. Jack. Now Reid, Pike and Goods all inside 50 at the moment. Tippett goes back inside as well. So Reid and Pike, the men with height, front spot. Silvani knocked it down. Ibbotson just waited. Duffield almost just took it out of his hands. And Neil, can he control the football? Main's on over the top. That's the direction he goes. Kick, didn't work out. Rowan again gets a football, again misses his target, but it's going to work out for the Swans. Tippett, can he kick a goal? He's offline. In fact, he's missed everything.
Gary Rowan needs to change his boots. It's not because he's falling over, it's because he can't kick it at the moment.
I think a really good indication there of the pressure that's on. Tippett had a lot more time, but every contest so hot. There's a man on your hammer within a moment of you taking the football, and he didn't realise he had a little more time there. He wasn't prepared to take the risk.
Yeah, it's both sides. There's no doubt about that, Baz. The pressure is intense. It's frenetic football.
Duffield playing really well, up to 14 disposals now. Huge pack on the outer side. Rowan a bit slow to get up. What a warrior he has been as well. Disappointment, obviously, to Gary Rowan. Missed the grand final in 2012 with injury, that terrible broken leg.
Yeah, it's taken a good 18 months to get over, but it's great to see him back running well and obviously not showing any signs of effects from that broken leg now.
Hill, who's been quiet after a bright opening, he gets the ball towards the middle of the ground, free kick.
You're straddling. You're going to tackle him legally. Hold there.
He's doing a great job, Nick Smith. He's now up to the 9 disposals. Hayden Ballantyne just with the 3 kicks.
So Nick Smith tangling over with Main. No 50 from the umpires, short. And Hanbury. Now the next one might come long, you'd think. So the targets, there's plenty of them. But well done, Dawson. Read it well. Good defensive grab.
Probably the first occasion that the Swans had kicked away from the loose man, which is obviously Ibbotson at this stage. But Tippett just outmarked by Dawson.
So Dawson is seen the last game of the year on a number of occasions. Ross keen to have him in the West, and he's holding up this afternoon. Well done, Pike. The ruckman became the rover. The youngster, Lloyd, just works his way through. Cunningham, little one inside, off the ground, Parker. Well, he kicked it forward in the end, not with the boot that he intended to, and Ibbotson, though, has time to go searching. Muzungu. The runners come to the broadcast side. Hill and Ballantyne. Well, now it's a foot race. McVeigh will get there first. Over the top he goes. Rampy. Well, the kick to Tippett. You can't ask for more than that as a forward.
Kieran Jack's about to get his finger popped in.
Yeah, one leg.
That's the delivery, though, Hammer, definitely. The lowering of the eyes, it's been the biggest issue with the Swans' entries at this point in time, is this that bombing in, and that time just giving the forward the opportunity.
15 gone.
Well, the last goal was to Benny McGlynn. That was 18 minutes ago. Scoring has dried up. 3 goals apiece in the opening term, 1 each so far in the second term. So Jack, you saw just having his finger pop back in, Tommy.
Yeah, he did just in the innocuous contest before. He's fine. He'll be running around again. I mean, this so far, the Swans are on top. They just need to get more bang for their buck with their inside 50s, but it really does say volumes, speak volumes about the structure and method over personnel, which Fremantle certainly employ.
So Sandilands up in front there, almost, not quite Pearce. Mundy, and he's happy to see the line with Kennedy right behind him.
And by that structure over personnel, I mean some key players out of the Fremantle best nominal back 6, but the players who have come in are playing their role well and defending extremely well.
2 brilliant footballers on screen together a moment ago. Hanbury now for Shaw. The kick is on for Buddy. Now Buddy on the bounce. Silvani to beat. He's got him covered. Well done, Silvani. Applied just enough pressure. Buddy's not beaten yet. Goes back. Ibbotson, great tackle. Bird wins the football. Rowan, Main the tackle. Now Neil needs to be careful here. Duffield steps over the line. Finals footy.
Well, Duffield's having just an outstanding game. He's had 14 disposals, leads all of the Fremantle Dockers, and he's kicking it at 100% at this point.
Ibbotson playing a fair game as one of the spare defenders, well, not spare defender, but one of the key defenders back there for Freo.
It's not something you wake up hoping happens, Buddy just charging at you. The only thing between goals.
with a pair of sloppy shoulders.
Terrific stuff.
Lloyd, hell of a game.
Wide ball. Suddenly the Swans in good hands. McVeigh, he goes long. Front spot. Big man. Tippett.
It was a great play from Jake Lloyd. Just to look laterally. We spoke about it before. They can't continue to just bomb it in.
I think he's been given 50 metres.
No, marked inside the square.
Oh, did he? Yep. Tippett just was speaking to the umpire, and then I saw Duffield getting marched back. Tippett's got his first, Swans by 11.
Yeah, marked right on the line there, Hamish, there for the rules. If marked inside the goal square, you get the shot directly in front, but Jake Lloyd, for a young player, first-year play, he does make really good decisions, Stu, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's an elite runner. He runs about a 15-1 beat, but his vision there to look laterally and find Jared McVeigh, that was what the Swans needed at this point, just to not bomb it in, to not continue those long entries with it, no reward. Here we see the mark on the line. Is he inside the square?
Right on the line was the call from the ump on the lines in. And a broken phone.
Oh, we're a phone down.
A phone and quarter with Ross.
So 9 out of the last 10 inside 50s were Sydney's. Make it 10 out of the last 11. Off the chest of Buddy Franklin. It was a good kick from McVeigh. And now a little bit of pressure on the Fremantle defence. The error. Sutcliffe kicks it out of bounds on the full.
Buddy just needed to get the hands up there, tried to take it on the chest. It was just a little bit too high.
He's doing a good job, Alex Silvani.
Yeah, he's playing really well. If ever there's been a knock on Buddy, it has been in the marking department above the head or hands out in front. Be that as it may, Sandilands. Big fist over the line. Game 215 today. He now has 4 more games than centimetres alongside his name.
You'd put Silvani in a similar mould to a Rance in that ability and agility as well.
Yep.
So the two Bulls, shoulder to shoulder, Fife again. So creative, works it inside. Well, Parker, smothered kick, Neal, and then the crashing ball, Hill. Some territory, foot race. First man there, Ballantyne, bouncing ball. Well done, Smith holds up, does enough. Well, that's a win.
Played that really well, Nick Smith. What he did, he stayed goal side, and when the ball was in the speed, he didn't dive on the ball. He got side and corralled it in. That was terrific work.
So Parker doing the ruck work there. There is Smith again, Fife, who's been quieter in this turn. They're paying him closer attention. Well, I'm sure they were paying him close attention at the start. He broke free a little, Tom.
Yeah, the 12 disposal started with 10. Net 5, so a win for the Swans there this career.
5, that was clever down to Barlow, but the kick affected by the pressure and out of bounds on the full. They got that last goal, and you felt like they needed it, Sydney. They had all of those inside 50s, but hadn't been able to capitalise.
29-17 inside 50s at the moment, Baz. You're absolutely spot on. Fremantle very effective when they get it in, but the Swans needed that last goal and got it.
Couple of poor kicks there, Richards to Jack, and then Jack to Hanbury, all of that under pressure. So 51 seconds on the clock here. Sydney by 11 points. If Fremantle get the next goal, if they can squeeze one here, it will be a huge win for them. They've been outplayed. Fife, long, down towards a vacant square. Grundy, no, Pavlich first. Pavlich got there first. He's kicked 3, and it's back to less than a goal.
Just recovered the better there, Matthew Pavlich on his direct opponent, Ted Richards. Ended up being 3 Swans to 1, but once the ball got over the back, we know how dangerous it can be in any part of the ground, particularly deep here. Just his will to stay involved in the contest there, Matthew Pavlich. And it was Nat Fife from the stoppage. Baz, you can't keep him down for too long. Just gets in there, 3 against 1, but Fife just wills himself, imposes himself on the contest. Have a good look at it there. There's no doubt that's a goal.
For all money, I thought Grundy or McVeigh would have got there first. It was a bit like the end of a swimming race. It was the touch.
It was.
And Pav had the boot cocked and ready to go. The others didn't. So what a huge win. And look at Fife again. Got it down from Sandilands. So we are set for the second half we hoped we would get. Time still for another goal for either side. And Grundy this time, no mistake. Gets back and takes the mark on Clark. Been quiet, just the 5 disposals, Clark. Grundy, reliable as always. Mzungu missed with the fist. Comes to Spur. Ibbotson, who's been cool, needed to be quick. Dangerous kick into the middle of the ground. Neal, have they got one more left in them? Fremantle. Barlow goes in the Ballantyne direction. It sits for him. Siren beats him. Outstanding first half of football. Qualifying final football on a Saturday afternoon, and it is as good as we had hoped. Sydney with their noses in front.
You're watching Finals Footy on Fox, half-time, brought to you by Jim Beam.
Yes, what a wonderful afternoon is unfolding, in a second half still to come in this qualifying final. Sydney holding sway by 5 points as we get the initial thoughts of the panel. I could say Malcheski hamstring. I could say Gary Rowan question mark. Probably say a few things, but what are you going to say, Jace?
Look, a very tight contest. I've enjoyed it the first half, and it's not dissimilar to when they played back in round 5. It was tight in the first half before it opened up.
Yeah, very much so. I've been a bit disappointed with the Freo. They've had supply in their forward half, but their small men haven't been able to get their hands on the ball. Walters and Ballantyne very quiet. Main hasn't made an impact, and between the 3 of them, no goals yet.
Yeah, I think the one side that starts kicking the ball well in their side 50, both of them, I think it's 29-18 in the Swans' way inside 50s, but gee, both are missing targets inside 50. Look, this is anybody's game. It's not pretty to watch, Stan.
No, it's not, and disposal has been very poor. That's the pressure. I wonder also if it's the conditions and the ground. Kingy, what are your thoughts in the war room?
Oh, look, I think Sydney are smashing them in tight and tough at the ground ball gets, and we'll go through that in a moment. And I think the longer this goes, they had 9 the last 11 inside 50, Sydney. I think they really could get hold of them in the second half. They're doing a lot right, but they've got to go around that loose man who's been Ibbotson for the first half there. They've got to get that strategy right, Fossey. Yeah, they do, and the key man, as you said, I think Ross Lyon spent a lot of time about winning the ball. They were losing the clearances, not so much an impact there, but the contested possession they're well and truly down on. But the one foil that's worked, or the thing that's worked for them has been Ibbotson. That spare has been pretty important for Freo.
Let's recap the game so far. Buddy was in it early, Jason.
Yeah, no surprise to see him involved heavily. Gets a free kick here for chop of the arm or high contact and threads it. That's after missing an earlier set shot, so he got the Swans off and running after the Doggers kicked the first goal. This is a pretty ordinary kick from Gary Rowan. And when you turn it over in the middle of the ground, you inevitably get punished. And it was Matthew Pavlich who gets on the end of the Daniel Pearce kick, and then he runs into an open goal. Nothing Rowan could do to make up for that earlier error. And look at the quick hands here from McVeigh. Sets McGlynn free, runs into an open goal as well. And they had some good moments, Sydney, but Freo were able to bounce back. I thought, you know, there were some good signs, and we get a good goal here going forward with Nathan Fife, and that was the big moment, Lynchy.
Yeah, start of the second quarter. This was the major talking point. Nick Malcheski not only out for the game with a suspected left hamstring strain, probably out for the remainder of the season, so massive news for the Sydney Swans. Adam Goodes should have maybe taken the early shot, gives off the handball, and in the end, it's fumbled through. Good work from Zach Dawson to get the ball over the line. Just one got away. It hasn't been a big first half for Adam Goodes, and now the run-off half-back. Now it worked. They run the ball really well. Great mark by Main. Plays it on and gets an opportunity here to straighten, but gives it off to his skipper. And that is the second of 3 goals for Matthew Pavlich, and he's starting to really impose himself on the game. Not big disposals, but 3 goals. Here on the boundary line, Hanbury. Good work. Spears the ball into McGlynn, diving, stretches all those fibres in the hamstring, but slots one through from 30. And the lead starts to stretch out for the Sydney Swans. Here, the ball goes long to the goal square. Kurt Tippett, is he in the square? It takes a strong mark. The umpire says you're in the square, pulls him around and goal. Now this one, catastrophe for... There's a bad one. McVeigh, no good. Pav has 3, 5 points at half-time.
Indeed it is. 5-8 to 5-3. So, really, an even ball game, Shorey.
Yeah.
Going into the second half, you've been in the coach's box. What are the two coaches looking for at half-time?
Well, I think, you know, as the clearances they said, I think Sydney have been really good underneath, but you've got to make them pay. I think they've gone to Buddy Franklin too many times. They need to get other options. I know they've had other goal kickers, but they need, every time they go to him, they've got that loose man, Ibbotson, like they said, maybe even 2 players. So they're off playing someone. So you have to go through them at other times. Look, Freo are still in the game, even though they've been beaten clearance-wise. You've got to get a run on. This is why I think you've got to let it go and maybe get the 2 to 3 goals up. And that is a massive lead in this game. So anybody's game, but yeah, I like the Swans' clearance at the moment, the way that they're dominating that area. I think that's the thing that's holding them in good stead.
Back with the second half shortly. While you're pondering how Alistair would actually spell catastrophe, let's join John Ralph in our newsroom. Malcheski, the hamstring, one of the problems for Sydney, Ralphie.
Sandy, a huge blow for him for this week and potentially for even a grand final. Now, even if it's just a little minor strain, that's still a 3-week hamstring injury. So I know we'll have a lot of talk about races against time and would they risk him. But we saw with Josh Kennedy, there was no hamstring strain, just a bit of soreness, and he missed a couple of weeks. Now, he only lasted 14 minutes. He had played 60 consecutive games. He's 13th on the active list. But again, boys, this is a huge blow. You probably see someone like Jeremy Laidler come into this side, but he is not Nick Malcheski. Now, we saw Sutcliffe there with a bit of a sore knee. He went to the bench and he did actually get that checked out, but he came back late in the game and he did have that heavily strapped, so he's no problems. He'll play out the second half.
Speaking of problems, could Zach Dawson have one on Buddy?
Oh, no doubt. He just doesn't learn. Now, this swinging arm on Buddy Franklin was not horrific, but certainly all Buddy Franklin needs to do is say to the doctor tonight, well, I have got a sore jaw, and that medical report would go in. The problem for Zach is he's got 93.75 carryover points. It's not hugely malicious, but it's just silly. We saw Josh Gibson last night. He told us, look, boys, I had 70 carryover points. I couldn't go in for a stoush with Stevie J. He knew, whereas Zach doesn't really have an on-off switch. So, again, he's at risk for the next final.
Good on you, Ralphie. We shall speak with you a little bit later on in the day. Our 2 key analysts are Michael Voss and David King. We're going to be with them in the War Room When we come back at the long break, it is Sydney leading at ANZ Stadium by just 5 points.
Madden, the veteran. Wren, the youngster. It's just like a title fight. Plenty of work to the body. Oh, Madden is 30 metres in the clear.
The day Waverley Park became Jurassic Park.
Wren giving chase. What a sprint. This is something to watch. Madden goes long for goal. He might have kicked it. Sensational.
The great moments live forever on Fox Footy. Thanks for being a part of us.